In the final days of his lame duck presidency, President Biden is making a final push to cancel thousands more student loans. A group of Democrats have sent Education Secretary Miguel Cardona a list of demands, including a request to bail out an additional 400,000 borrowers. Joining us now to discuss this is Chairwoman of the House Education and Workforce Committee, Congresswoman Virginia Foxx. Congresswoman, it is so good to see you this afternoon. You have been such a champion of really scrutinizing the cost of education and student loans and what they're doing to American borrowers in this country. But as we know, the Supreme Court has already struck down Biden's attempts to cancel student loans. Can he do this now in his final days in office? And what can representatives like yourself do about his attempts now?
Well, this is their fourth try. The Supreme Court said, no, you can't do what they wanted to do, what they promised in the campaign. So on the day afterwards, they said they would come up with a plan B. But they've actually had a plan B, C, and now this is D, because this is their fourth attempt at circumventing the law, and doing another illegal scheme. And what you mentioned, it could, the 400,000 people, it could cost the American taxpayers as much as $1.4 trillion. Wow. This is not forgiving loans. This is transferring the cost of those loans to people who never took them out, never darkened the door of a college. It is an obscene effort to, again, circumvent the law and act like they're kings.
Yeah. Let's talk about saving taxpayers some money, Congresswoman. You've voted to abolish the Department of Education. That's definitely a conversation once again. I found it interesting that some of the opposition to abolishing it, the last time it came for a vote, was from Republican congressmen. So my question to you is, in this new Trump administration, with the new zeitgeist around DOGE, do you think this can finally get done?
Well, the word education is not in the Constitution as a responsibility of the federal government. And so what we need to do is devolve the work that's being done now in the Department of Education in Washington back down to the states and the localities. That's where it should be done. And this is going to take some careful work. It's not something that you just do with the stroke of a pen. We need to do it legislatively and do it right. And I hope we can gather the votes for that. We're working on the College Cost Reduction Act now. I still have hope that we'll be able to pass it in this session of Congress, where we would begin to tighten the screws on the Department of Education. We would save $185 billion that could go into the reconciliation and be a part of the tax cuts extension. So we're doing a lot right now in terms of rewriting legislation. But I do hope my Republican colleagues will be interested in doing away with the Department of Education in a very careful manner.
I would like that you talked about as in a careful manner, because you have three parents sitting on set who are excited about this, but also, like you said, want to make sure it plays out appropriately. Do you envision a few people still working at the DOE to help oversee education on the state level, or abolish it completely? How do you see some of the nitty-gritty details?
Well, there doesn't need to be any oversight per se at the federal level if we turn everything back to the states and the localities. So the best thing to do is to get the federal government out of it altogether.
Amen.
Should never have been involved in it. It's been a system of accretion, a little bit, a little bit, a little bit. Well, that's what's happened in education. More and more power has come to Washington for actually a very small amount of money. Only between 7 and 9% of the money in local schools is coming from federal taxpayers. The rest of it's at the local level.
Well, Congressman Foxx, Brian was pointing out to us earlier today that the Department of Education's only been around since the Carter administration in the late
79.
1970s, right?
Yeah.
So it's hard for us
Correct.
to know. We may not know a world without the Department of Education, but it really hasn't been around that long.
It can be done.
Right.
We
Yes.
can do this for sure. America
was-
has done this.
It was a bribe to Carter to get the
Yes.
support of the teachers' unions,
Right.
and that makes it even more
No more bribes.
obnoxious.
Congresswoman Virginia Foxx, so good to see you this
Great
afternoon.
stuff.
See you
Thank
soon.
you.
Thank you.